Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedrunning video. So in today's video I'm going to be renovating another apartment for my save file. This apartment is actually in the arts district. I'm not too sure on the name of it though. It's in the top left corner if you're curious. It's just way too small for me to read it right now. Originally the Jang family actually live here, but I decided to move them out. I'm not sure what I want to do with them for my save file, but I'll come to that at a different date. But this is one of my favourite apartments in Myshuno. I just think it's such a perfect size. It's in a great location, but the only downside I find with this apartment is the windows on this lot are just so farly spaced out, and they're like, so there'll be like a cluster of windows on one side of the apartment, and then there's one single window on like one of the walls, and then there's another cluster on the other side. And so I find it really hard to floor plan this apartment, and I don't believe I've actually done a floor plan or a speed build in this apartment before, and that is just because the floor plan is always really difficult for me to figure out. As you would have noticed, I did actually do the floor plan really quickly for this, but that is actually just because I actually kind of played around with the floor plan for quite a while off camera, and then I decided that I'd completely demolish it and then rebuild it just so you can kind of see how I did it, just because it took me way too long to figure it out, and I didn't want to, once it's sped up, make you kind of cause some motion sickness or whatever. So that is actually how I did the apartment floor plan so quickly. It did actually take me quite a while, but I just didn't want to keep all that footage in of me just turning the camera left, right and center. But as you can kind of see, I've now moved on and I started furnishing this house, and like always I did start off with the kitchen. So in the kitchen I did all the wallpapering and the flooring for the whole apartment just all into one. I just feel like I build best that way. But in the kitchen I use this beautiful base game tile, and I just think it's so lovely. It comes in 3 swatches. It comes in white, black and blue, and I also just paired it with this Dine Out flooring, which I just feel like the two together just look so modern and luxury together. But in here I did also use the cool kitchen cabinets and counters. Originally I was actually going to go for this brown swatch of them, but once I actually put them down and I saw them all together, I just didn't really like the way it was looking, and so I decided to switch it up and use the black and white swatches. And once I actually switched them swatches up, it's really hard to say, but once I actually switched the swatches up, I felt like it just set the whole tone for the apartment, and then I just absolutely fell in love with this kitchen. But I also used the cool kitchen fridge, and I believe it's also a cool kitchen stove as well. I might be wrong, but I believe it is from that pack. And I just did a little bit of clutter in the kitchen. I didn't want to clutter up this apartment too much because I wanted it to be very minimalist and just very modern looking. But saying that, I did actually end up cluttering one of the bedrooms up quite a lot, but I felt like because that was a child's room, it was kind of a little bit necessary, and it wasn't too bad just because it is a child's bedroom and children typically tend to have a lot of toys. But as you can kind of see, I did just finish up the kitchen, and now I'm moving on and I'm furnishing the bathroom. So in the bathroom I used the Get Famous shower, and I also a Get Famous bathtub. Now I don't think I've ever used that shower before, and I'm not sure why. It's one of the more expensive ones in the build and buy menu, but I just never really tend to go for it. But it came in this really beautiful black swatch, and where it was kind of like a grey, black and white bathroom, I just felt like it looked so lovely, so I decided to place that one in. I also used the round bathtub, which again I don't feel like I've ever used. I know that I've used it before, but I rarely ever do use it, and I feel like where I do more traditional and more like suburban looking houses, it would be a little bit weird if I normally place one of them in like a normal typical suburban house. But in here we do also just have the little island living counters as kind of like the little sink area. I just really wish that soon that we actually get the bar versions of them counters, because at the minute we've only got the counters that can actually go alongside the wall. Hopefully we get them in an update. I don't believe we're actually getting an August patch update though. I might be wrong, but I believe one of the sim gurus, I think it was Sim Guru Frost, actually tweeted that not too long ago, so I'm not too sure about that. But I am just kind of finishing up this bathroom, and I'm using these shelves just to create something else to the bathroom, because I find that bathrooms are quite boring to furnish and they're quite boring to look at, and I felt like I just wanted to give it something else just so it wasn't as bland and boring. And I feel like adding shelves can really transform a bathroom just from being like a basic boring kind of bathroom and actually make it look a little bit more interesting. But now I'm actually moving on and I've started furnishing one of the bedrooms. So this is actually the master bedroom in this apartment, and this bedroom is actually quite big. It's actually got a walk-in wardrobe. So I actually imagined that the family that live here and they're going to be my save file are actually a family of YouTubers, and I felt like they're going to probably be like a really established YouTuber family, and so they probably have a little bit of money, and maybe one of the parents is really into fashion and beauty, and they really needed an extra big space to store all their clothes. And so I did create this really lovely little walk-in wardrobe. The walk-in wardrobe does actually also have a door which goes into the bathroom. The bathroom does have 2 doors though. That isn't the only entrance. You can also get through into the bathroom via the kitchen. But in this bedroom I did actually use quite a lot of the vintage Glamour stuff to kind of decorate it. So the majority of the furniture is from vintage Glamour stuff, apart from the bedside tables, which are actually from Get Famous, but I just felt like the swatches went really well. I mean, it is white, but I just felt like it really suited in with the rest of the furniture. And then I did also just use a vintage Glamour stuff wallpaper as well, and then I also just used use a Dine Out carpet for this apartment. Now normally I don't ever actually use carpet in my builds. I just don't really like the look of like the basic base game carpet, but I actually really like this one that we got from Dine Out, and I felt like it looks so modern and luxury, so I decided to use it in this build. But as you can kind of see, I'm just doing the walk-in wardrobe area for this bedroom, and originally I actually wanted like a main centerpiece for the walk-in wardrobe, something just to give it a little bit extra so it looked a little bit more fancy. And so what I actually did is I used this get to work table, and then I sized it down, and then I also used some Get Famous flowers and then sized them down as well, and then I used the red shelf to place the flowers to the same height of the table, because otherwise the flowers will clip to the original height of the table. And then I was able to just place the flowers on top of that little table, and it just gives this really beautiful kind of like centerpiece effect. I really like it. If you don't actually know what the red shelf is, by the way, it's a CC. It was a piece of CC, and it's basically an object that allows you to move objects to a certain height. It's really useful. I've got a link for it in my description box if you would like to download it. Ever since I've downloaded it, I find it really hard, and I really struggle to build without it in my game, so I'd highly recommend it. But now I've actually moved on and I started furnishing the little girl's bedroom in this build. So as you can kind of see, one of the shelves actually looks a little bit yellow, but don't worry about that. It's actually just because there is a light directly underneath it, and I actually do change the color of the lights in all of my builds. So when you go into it, it won't be like one yellow shelf and one white shelf. It will be changed. It's just because of the light directly beneath it. But in this bedroom, as you can see, it's kind of like a white plain room, but it does actually add a lot of color with all the clutter that I actually place in it. Now I do actually clutter up this bedroom quite a lot, but I felt like because it is a child's bedroom, it was just it wasn't that bad, because children do have a lot of toys. I use a lot of the kind of debug objects and kind of collectible objects just to kind of clutter it up and make it look like these are things that she's collected over the years, or maybe from birthdays and Christmases. And I also use this kid room stuff, kind of like a wall decoration, which are these little butterflies, and I put them either side of the shelves, and I just think it gives this really beautiful effect. And even though it is just a white room, it adds a lot of color into it. I also do add a little desk area into her bedroom as well. Now this is actually the only computer in this house, because I did actually put a little YouTuber or a little video station in this apartment. I was actually going to do a computer area as well, but I felt like it looked a little bit weird that the video station was right next to the desk. And so I was kind of thinking, if you want to download this apartment via the gallery, then you can probably just add a kind of like a laptop and then place it into one of your Sims inventory, and that way there isn't just one computer in the house. I did also use the Parenthood chest of drawers in this bedroom as well. It's not as big as the parents' walk-in wardrobe, but it's still a little area where your Sims can change their clothes and plan their outfits and stuff. I do actually clutter that up with loads of different toys and objects and like collectible items. We have a snow globe on there, and then we do actually have some nail varnish, and then some toys that your toddlers and children can actually play with. But if you actually size them up, they actually look like some really nice little objects, and so I decided to size them up and put them on top of the chest of drawers. I also did add a little bookcase into this room as well. I used the My First Pet Stuff one, and I also used the red shelf again just to kind of move objects onto the bookcase so I could get them to a certain height. And one thing that I actually noticed when I was doing this bookcase is the middle shelf where all the books are, you can't actually put any objects on there, or at least the objects that I was trying to put on there anyway. And so I do actually just clutter that little area up as well and kind of make it look as if the objects are actually in there. And I use this little ladybird, and I just think it's so adorable and cute. I also do just finish that little bookcase area off, and I had a little lunchbox on top of it as well. But now I'm just going to finish up this bedroom. I add some little fairy lights which we got from Parenthood, and I add them on some of the walls. I don't add them on all the walls in the room, I just add them where I felt like it was necessary. And I also add these little Parenthood fake wall tree decoration things, and I just felt like it looked so cute, and it just kind of completes the room and ties it in all together. But now I'm actually moving on to kind of like the main living area for this apartment, and this is kind of the area that's in front of the kitchen. I use this Dine Out painting, which I just think is so lovely, and I love that it comes in this black and white swatch. I just felt like it really went with this apartment. And now I'm actually just going in and just decorating the little walkway area as soon as you walk into this apartment, so kind of like where you'd normally put your shoes and your hat and your coat and stuff. Originally I was actually going to put these wall decorations which are kind of like clothing hooks and stuff, but I felt like it looked too much like a wardrobe, and so I decided to delete them, and I actually replaced it with this vintage Glamour stuff, really tall mirror, and then a little Dine Out tree as well. But finishing this area off, I'm now moving on and started furnishing the lounge room. I absolutely love the way this lounge room turns out. I feel like it looks so luxurious and modern. In here I did just use the get together fireplace, which is quite a modern fireplace, and I normally tend to use it in my more modern builds. And I also paired it with the City Living curved TV, which I don't know if it's just because it's a really expensive TV and one of the the more expensive ones in the game, but I felt like I really needed to use it in this like little lounge room area. I also did just pair it with these Get Famous sofas and then these vintage Glamour Stuff kind of coffee tables. I really wanted a 4-tile coffee area or coffee table area for this build, but all the 4-tile ones that we have in the game, I just felt like didn't really suit the way that I wanted this apartment to look, and so I decided to create my own and merge two in together. And as you would have seen, I did actually just pull out one of my saved rooms, and I have spoken about this in one of my previous videos and multiple of my previous videos actually, but just in case you haven't seen them before, what I basically did is one day I just decided that going through the bb.show-hidden-objects menu all the time was just a little bit more time consuming, and I just wanted an easier way to have access to all the build and buy kind of debug menu items that I like to use in my builds. I just wanted an easier way. So what I did is I went into my game one day and I placed all the objects that I like to use normally in my builds and put them into like kind of like little separate rooms, and then I saved them to my library, and then that way they're always accessible when you're building. You don't have to turn on the cheat, because once you actually turn on the cheat, the menu gets so long and I find it really difficult to try and find normal things that you normally tend to build with that are not debug menu items. And so I did just pull one out that just had loads of different awards and medals and certificates, just to kind of make it look like this family have gone through a lot of different things. Maybe they've done a few charity events, maybe they've earned different awards for various different things, and I just placed them on the fireplace as well as on the coffee table. But I'm just kind of finishing up this little TV area as well. I just add a little Get Famous painting, and it took me a little while just to decide on which swatch that I wanted to go for, but I decided to go for, I believe it's the family looking one in the end. And now I'm actually moving on and just going and adding this little Get Views video station, which I really needed to add, especially if this family were going to be YouTubers and make videos for a living. I do also just add this little Get to Work plaque as well, just in front of this little video station. I kind of imagine that was maybe their 100k YouTuber plaque, or maybe their 1 million YouTuber plaque. I just kind of felt like it was a little bit creative to do that, and I really wanted to show that this family were kind of well established in the YouTube community. But now I am just finishing off this little area just behind the sofas, and this is actually when I decided to add this little cat object in. I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's just kind of like this little stand that cats can go onto, and this is where I decided to go back into the build and add some litter boxes and just kind of decorate it so a cat can live in this apartment as well. I do actually add a little vintage Glamour Stuff up pasta as well, and then just like a little tray area so your Sims can make a tray of drinks and then place them on that little tray. But anyway guys, I am actually going to end this voiceover here. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this luxury modern apartment, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.